Hey, thanks for tuning in to another one of my vids. Today's a start of summer in Adelaide. It's 35 degrees, so I'm out in the hot weather gear. I'm starting to put together a few Y62 YouTube videos now, so please click on the subscribe and you'll see some of my other hacks that I've done on my car, and you might be able to do on yours as well. Today I thought we'd tackle the problem of dual batteries and smart alternators. If you're setting your vehicle up as a touring vehicle, this is a must do. You've got to have a second battery, and there's some quandaries about going through this. I'll be upfront and say the way I've done this probably isn't the best way. You could throw money at this problem and be carefree, probably with a DC charger, with solar input as well if you want to run a solar. They will do about 25 amps charging. I like to be able to charge at a much higher amperage, so I've done this a different way. So let me take you through it. So if you've got a Y62 or any new car sort of post 2006 and you want to put a dual battery in it, you should probably go buy one of these things. They're fantastic, little voltmeter that you chuck into your cigarette lighter. Basically they'll tell you everything you need to know if you need to have some extra considerations with your dual battery. Alright, she's floating about 12.5 volts there, and that's the main starting battery. When I start the car, we're up to about 14.3. Probably if I measured it a bit further back it'd be 14.4, but we know something's going on there. Now this is great for a Y62, but what you would find is this vehicle does have a smart alternator. I've disabled it and I'll show you how to do that in a moment. But after about 5 minutes, that charging voltage of 14.3 there drops down as low as 12.1. There is a hack you can do where you turn the lights on and that'll get up to 13.1 volts. But really, if you're charging a dual battery, 13 volts isn't enough to charge it sufficiently, and you'll find the second battery will be constantly going flat. What I've done is installed a series of components to get around this, and I'll take you through it. So here comes a bit of a tour of my engine bay. I'll be brief on the bits that we're not talking about today, but I might come back to them in another bit. Here we go. So the main starting batteries, driver side at the front. I've swapped that over, I'll tell you why in a second. The only real place for a dual battery in these vehicles is the top right hand corner. I've put a yellow top Optima battery in there and they are sensational. This one's a 55 ampere. Probably compared to other batteries it's more like a 75, it just punches way above its weight. So to get this in there, if you look in your car there'll be a couple of computers in the way. You can buy a kit from Projector, I think it's a couple $100, and it's just some bracketry and so forth to move the computers. So I'll see if I can point to this at the same time. How's my camera skills here? Shocking. Alright, so there's a computer here and another computer back there. They used to reside here. So it's really not that hard. You get a bit worried about moving computers in a complicated vehicle like this, but it really wasn't a big deal. It took a couple of hours. The hardest thing was lifting the battery in, so don't be worried about doing that. Make sure you always put circuit breakers around the place when you're hooking up batteries. You protect your cable car, you don't want it catching on fire. So what's great about this battery is it will charge very quickly, and it will release its energy very quickly as well. So we can throw 14.89 volts into this battery and it will take it and it will charge really rapidly. Now let's think about what happens when we connect that to our main battery. So the alternator is only charging it as low as 12.1, so we have to disable this alternator somehow so it starts charging at a voltage which it's going to suit the battery off. Really flatten this, and I've got an Anderson plug at the back of the car that's connected to the van. When both van and Optima batteries were dead flat, I was pulling 90 amps out of my alternator to charge them. So That's why I went for this option, because I can charge these batteries up very quickly. If I had a DC to DC charger, excellent solution, and if I was going to recommend it, that's probably the way to go. But you'll get is maybe 25 amps charging. So this is what I've done. The downside, I'll go through how we fix the smart alternator problem. So when you're looking at your car, behind the battery there's a set of fuses. Take the cover off of that. Excuse this little extra fuse block I've put up here, that's why it looks a bit messy at the moment, but it's the only way I could set this up to show you. There's a red wire down here, so big fat bundle of cables coming out from the front of the engine bay to the back. Go through, find the red one. This is what manages the smart alternator. Nothing complex, cut it. I was really worried. It took me about 6 months to build the guts to do this, but I was just frustrated with low charging and so forth. I haven't seen a single downside to it. I'll zoom in so see if you can get a better look at it. Simply cut it, get a bit of heat shrink, cigarette lighter over the heat shrink, and that causes no issues at all there. I haven't noticed an increase in fuel economy or anything else. Just do it and stop worrying about it, to be honest. Best mod I've probably done. So now when I start my car, it does charge at 14.4 volts and it does it constantly. I'm just going to pause and I'll put this fuse box in because you probably want to see that. Alright, I'll tidy that up a bit more now. That is a Nava fuse box, just sits on top of the other fuses that are in there. The left bank is for the starting battery, the right bank is for the second battery, and it's just, if you're going to really set your car up, you don't want fuses all over the joint. Looking like a spaghetti mess. This is a nice neat way to do it. Right, continuing on now. So now we've got the car charging at 14.4 volts all the time. Fantastic. Except there's a problem. This yellow top battery that we've got here will take up to 14.9 volts. Fantastic. So if I just have the alternator charging it alone, it's only ever going to get to 90% of its full capacity. So you can see on top of it I've got a solar controller, and I've set that to charge at 14.9 volts, so I can actually get this battery charged to the top. It's a 160 watt solar panel, and to be honest, I can isolate this battery almost 100% of the time now, and it'll run my fridge indefinitely. But anyhow, now the danger is I'm charging at 14.9 volts into my yellow top, but if I do have them linked, and as we can look around here, I've got one of these red arc, you can see just hiding down there, that's one of the red arc smart isolators. So now the two batteries are connected together. The battery that comes with the Y62, just your normal wet lead acid battery, probably doesn't like to be charged at 14.9 volts. It'd probably prefer 14.5 or something like that. So I run the risk of overcharging the battery, I suppose. So what I've done, I've changed it to one of these, I don't know what they are, but I got the specs of this battery. It's sort of half between a slow discharge battery, but you can also use it for starting the car as well. But the important thing is it will take a 14.9 volt charge. So when I'm camping, say for a week straight, and I've just got solar, I've got both batteries connected together, they're both charging, and I've got 150 amp hours now if they're linked together. And as you can see there, the light's on and it's charging. They're linked, and they're happily linked together even though the car's not running. It's great because the solar panel is actually charging both of them as we speak. Take inside the car now and show you what I've done with management of these. Explain what all these buttons are for. You can see it's charging now at 14.2. On the left hand side there's a switch for spotlights. I've got some HIDs on the bull bar. The next button's for a light bar on the roof. The next button's for my rear light. And then I've got two battery lights. When the car starts and it's over 12.6 volts, this blue light will come on, and that means the two batteries are linked together. And I can, for some reason, if I wanted to permanently link them together, I can click it like that and they will always be on. Why would I do that? Say I'm winching, or say the main starting battery went flat for whatever reason. If I wanted to jump start it, it's as easy as pressing that switch. Remember what I was saying before about getting the most out of the batteries though? So what I can do is turn that off, and I've put a switch wire on the earth side of the red arc, and I can turn my red arc off now. So now the two batteries are isolated. The second battery will charge at its 14.9 volts all day, and it will never interfere with the motor. Because what I've found is I'd charge my battery up to 14.9 volts, get a really good float voltage of about 13.5, start the car, and it would all run back into the starting battery, so I wasted all that charge. So by turning the isolator off, and that's how I have it probably the majority of the time, because the solar panel is enough to keep it going, unless I park the car in the shed when it used to fit in there. I leave the isolator off now. If there is an instance where I've drained it flat, I can turn it back on and off it goes. You'll see this light will come on in a second. Alright, now they're linked. So there you have it. There's my explanation of the Y62 smart alternator setup. Like I said in the beginning, a DC to DC charger with solar input is the way to throw money at a problem. This is another solution. I'm going to do some more of these hacks, so if there's any questions about my car or things that you see you want to know about, write it in the comments section, and I'll try and do a bit on that as well. Catch ya.